thanks for joining us. Us. This me and Stanley, and he's photobombing today. So, my name is Lisa Nielsen, and I'm your Aflac agent. I'll be your Aflac agent for as long as I am around and not retired. I've been with Aflac for a long time, and I love what I do. So, if I can be of assistance to you, be sure to let me know. Then I would like to first go through the claims process, because if you have a claim, it's important that you get your claims done. Like, as long as you've had your policy, you can go back as far as you can up to your effective date, and we can do a claim. And if you need help, be sure to let me know. My information will be at the very end of this video. Then the claims process is pretty easy. There's an app you can put on your phone called Smart Claim, and then you just kind of upload it and all the information that they need, and you can have your money in your bank account the very next day. So that's really very nice. All right, the next thing I'd like to do is go through all of the products.
Let's get started. The first policy we need to talk about is the short-term disability insurance. This insurance is designed to cover your paycheck if you're too sick or injured to work. If you have, let's say, a gallbladder attack and they take you into surgery and the doctor says you've got to be out for 6 weeks or 2 months, and then you can go back to work. What you need for a claim is to have that note from the doctor that has a return to work date and a diagnosis and the hospital bill, and we can put it all in through your Smart Claim on your phone, and it will process that way. It's a really slick way to do it, and it doesn't matter if it's an injury or a sickness, but if it's an injury, it does need to be an off-the-job injury for this to help you. There's a lot of reasons to pick up this short-term disability policy, and one of the biggest reasons is because when you have something happen, you lose your way of making a living. And when that ceases, hopefully you've got some vacation and some sick time and some money in the bank, and you're not living paycheck to paycheck. But even still, if you don't have money in the bank, or if you don't have vacation or sick time or any of those things, Aflac is, if you have this policy, we're there for you to cover your expenses, or to at least give you a portion of your salary. So it's a monthly salary that we go on, and then if you have something like that happen, you want to divide that up into days, and that's how much they pay you per day. And actually, they will pay you out to the return date that your doctor says that you need to return to work on a certain day. If you have complications and you need more time off, you need a new note from your doctor that says, oops, I goofed. We didn't know we were going to have complications, and this person needs to be out 2 more weeks or another month or whatever it is. That way, it kind of gives you some flexibility, and you get some money to make things happen in between. Here are the rates for this one. And it starts out with Aflac short-term disability at the top. I hope you can see that. And it does have a 3-month or a 6-month benefit period. And if you see benefit period there on the left, that it's kind of in a column, the 3-month and the 6-month. Above the benefit period is annual income. So going across that will show you if you make so much money, then you qualify for the next one down, which is on the line of age and benefit period. And if you pick, let's say you make $40,000, which isn't on this chart, but you want to know how much it would be for $2,000 of benefit for you, then what you would do is you would look here under the $2,000 amount, and that would be $1,000 a month benefit to you. And you can see the rates that in that column. Well, then if you are wanting $2,000, you would just simply double that amount of money. And it just is a nice way. You can do the math all kinds of ways on this one. So if you want let's say you wanted let's say you make $44,000, so you want $2,200 or 22. You go to the 22,000, and then you'd go $1,100 and the column there. But if you're somewhere like in between with $100 benefit, and you want to know how much it is for $1,800 benefit, and you make enough to support that, then what you would do is you would figure out at the $1,000 how much $100 worth of coverage is, and then you can add that amount on to the $1,700 and add another $100 or $200, and that way you can figure out pretty much everything if you figure it out that way. So just notice that it is age banded, and there's 3 months, 6 months listed here, and the top under short-term disability, it says elimination period, accident/sickness. So 1414, that means 14-day waiting for accident, 14-day waiting for sickness. And so you have no coverage for 2 weeks for either one of those. You can change that. You can do a 3-month 07 policy, and that's really good for a pregnancy. Keep in mind that if you are going to be expecting in the next year, it will work, except there is a 10-month waiting period before they will pay for a pregnancy, on a pregnancy. So you have to know that you need to have this in force for 10 months before the baby's born. So I always tell people to get the policy, pick it up, wait 2 months before you start trying, and then you should work out just fine, because sometimes babies are preemies and you have all these other factors in there that you can't really know ahead of time. So it's important that you have 10 months before the baby's born. This is the Aflac Plus Rider benefit, and it's broken down into Tier 1 events, subsequent Tier 1 events, Tier 2, and coronary artery bypass surgery. So at the top, you have these Tier 1 critical illnesses that are 15 of them, and you get $5,000 for the onset date of one of those. Then, and the benefit is only payable once per person per lifetime. However, if you have a covered person's onset date of a recurrence of that same Tier 1 critical illness, or an occurrence of a different Tier 1 critical illness event, you would get $3,000, but the benefit isn't payable on the same day as the Tier 1 critical illness. So if you have a heart attack and then 3 days later have a sudden cardiac arrest, you would be able to claim the heart attack, and then the $3,000 would be paid on the sudden cardiac arrest. So if it's on different ones, you get $3,000. If it's the same one and it's recurring, then you do have that $3,000 benefit. But remember that you can't have a recurrence on the same day, on the same onset date. So that's an important piece of that. The tier 2 is a $1,000 benefit to you if you have any of these 9 items, starting with encephalitis and ending with cystic fibrosis. So they're not payable on the same day as tier 1 events, but if you have an onset of any of those, then as long as the date is different, then you would get paid the $1,000 as well as the $5,000. Then the coronary artery bypass surgery, that's a $2,000 benefit, and you can only claim that once per lifetime, per covered person. Okay, the next policy that we're going to look at is the cancer protection, and this is level 2. In Nevada, it's called Cancer Protection Assurance, and so the level 2 is broken down here in cost. And if you notice, it's not age banded, but it is the individual insured spouse, one parent family, two parent family, like a lot of our other policies. The next policy we'll be looking at is the cancer policy option 2, and this does have a cancer screening. So if, let's say, you and your spouse and your children were on this policy, you would have $75 per person per calendar year of benefit for you, and all you have to do is claim it. You don't have to have a cancer. It still will pay you money. You just need to be able to say, okay, I saw this doctor on this day, and Aflac will send you $75 on this level. This does have 4 levels if you'd like to go up to level 4 or down to level 1. Each of all of the categories are the same. It's the amount of money that's different. So if you look down here with me at initial diagnosis, this level has insured and spouse as a $4,000 benefit. Dependent children you're paid $8,000 for your dependent children or child. The nice thing about this is that does build by $500 every year that you don't have a cancer. So you pay for your policy for that many years, and it just keeps growing $500 until you have a cancer, and then they'll pay you, and so it doesn't max out. So then the $4,000 difference between the insured and spouse and the dependent child is because dependent children often will need to be accompanied by both parents, or you need to leave one parent home with other children and one parent goes with the child to the doctor or the hospital. So there's all kinds of things that happen with children that don't happen with adults, and they just feel like children are a little bit more expensive, so they will pay you more. There's also, you see all of these categories, and there's an amount of money for each one of them. So if you have a second opinion, if you have radiation, chemotherapy, if you have hormonal treatment, topical chemotherapy, anti-nausea, stem cell and bone marrow transplants, blood and plasma, it goes all the way down, and there's even a skin cancer surgery. So that's really very nice. Then you have a hospital confinement, and it can add up. What it does is it just adds money on top of each other, and then Aflac will just pay you. And again, if you're subscribed to the with your direct deposit information in the system, they'll pay you overnight with this one. As long as you put your claim in before 4 o'clock Eastern time, then you would be paid by morning on this policy. There's a couple of them that don't pay that way, but this one does. The accident does. Quite a few of them do. The next one that we need to talk about is the accident advantage. And this one is the last one. And here are the rates. And it's not age bounded, but it does have the options of the employee, and then named insured, which is your employee and the spouse, or a one-parent family or a two-parent family. And always one-parent family is employee and children. And then the total is all the way off to the right. Here's what the brochure looks like. This is option 2, and again, you have option 1 through option 4, but we're going with option 2, and option 3 and 4 is more popular than option 2 because the amounts of money that jumps up in amount of money, it's really makes a difference. So let's go down to the accident treatment benefit. If you walk into the doctor's office or the Instacare, you would get $120. You don't have an x-ray, but if you walk in there and say, I hurt myself, check me out, look, my ankle's all swollen, or I just need stitches and you're dripping blood, you would have the $120. Or if you do need an x-ray, it's $150 to walk into the doctor's office or the urgent care. The hospital emergency room, with or without the x-ray, it's $170. With the x-ray, it's $200. So keep in mind, all you have to do is just read the little print here, and you'll know how much you would receive for any of these benefits. The initial accident hospitalization benefit is $1,000 when you're admitted directly from the emergency room into the hospital for at least 18 hours, and it does have to be an admission. If it's $1,500 if you're admitted directly into the intensive care unit. So you need to kind of make sure that you understand all of these little lines, but just know that you get paid money when an accident happens. There's an ambulance benefit, there's blood and plasma, CAT scans, MRIs, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech. There's appliance benefits, back brace, crutches, leg brace, walking boot, cane. All of those have a benefit amount. Then you do also have a rehab facility benefit of $100 a day. And that doesn't mean alcohol and drug rehab. That means if you've hurt yourself and you need to be inpatient and get rehab. So that there's a big difference there. The home modification benefit is new. Of course, if you have an AFLAC policy that's an accident policy and you want to keep that one because either the rate's better or you like the benefits or you're familiar with what you've got and you just don't want to change, that's great. You can keep it. If you want to upgrade because you like the benefit amounts better or you like the new home modification benefit or any of that, you can change it. You just need to let me know. I'm not a mind reader, and I've broken my crystal ball lots of years ago. So, just let me know. I'll put at the end my name and my phone number and my email address, and that'll be my cell phone, and you can text or call me, and I'll get back with you. Then there's also the accident-specific sum injury benefit, which means that AFLAC will pay you a specific sum amount. It doesn't have coverage for what you're out of pocket. It will pay you what it says it's going to pay you. So in other words, if you have a laceration that doesn't require stitches, it's a $25 benefit. But if you've got over 15 centimeters of stitches, then that's a $400 benefit to you. Nobody wants to be paralyzed, but that's a biggie. If you end up being a quadriplegic, then you have a $10,000 benefit to you. A coma is another $10,000, but hopefully that just never happens. Emergency dental work does have to happen. Like if you hit your tooth on the steering wheel of a car in a car accident, there's two things you're going to need to know. Anything involving a car needs a police report. It also needs, if it's a tooth involvement, then it has to be a healthy tooth. So if there's no decay or anything, then you can pretty much say, okay, that's a healthy tooth. But if it already had a cavity going or something that would weaken that tooth, then they would say, no, you don't get a benefit. So it depends on what the dentist codes it as. And then you have accidental death benefit. Common carriers are considered anything you pay a fare for, a jet, airline ticket, or a taxi, or anywhere in between, a bus, whatever. As long as you're paying a fare, that's considered a common carrier accident. Other accidents are accidents at home. Hazardous activities would be rock climbing or heli skiing, is I think what they call that. But there's also a wellness benefit. So once a year when you go in for a wellness checkup, you would get a $60 benefit once per calendar year. You have also the rest of these benefits. And if you have any questions on them, be sure to call me or text me or email me and I'll get back with you. Okay, so that's the last of it, except we need to talk about rates for the accident. And this is here. It's not age banded, but you do have those familiar individual, which would be employee, or employee and spouse, or employee and children, or a two-parent family, employee, spouse, and children. And the breakdown of the cost is off to the right. This is a guide of the products that we do have, the policies, and really the most common ones are the accident, short-term disability, and life insurance, and also cancer. Keep in mind that the COVID would have a benefit if you're hospitalized or if you're diagnosed and can't work. Of course, you'll be quarantined for 2 weeks at least. You would have the short-term disability that can have a benefit for you. And then the hospital indemnity also would have a benefit for you. On those two policies would have benefits with COVID. If you already have those two in place, great. You don't need to redo them, or we can if you need to. If you've had a raise in the last little bit, you can get more short-term disability. If you have the sickness policy and you want to upgrade it to the hospital indemnity, we can do that. Or you can keep what you have. It doesn't matter. But these are your options. And if you want quotes on any of these or see the brochures on anything, let me know. And the next slide is the last one. And it has my name, my phone number, and my email address. Thank you for your attention. I appreciate your time.